Namaste. Good morning. How are you? Yes? Uh, it is such a treat to be here with you in Bengaluru. I'm in from Denver, Colorado, and you just can't get a good Mysore masala dosa in the States. So I have to come here every year and visit you. Thank you so much for being here. Today, we're going to be talking about accessibility, and we're going to be talking about AI. It's entirely possible to talk about both. And it's amazing how much these two topics weave in together. So, to begin, I'd like to share a quote with you from Matt May, who's the former head of inclusive design at Adobe. He says, "What we have today are a few people who know quite a bit about digital accessibility. What we'd like instead is a whole bunch of people who know just a little bit." That's you. Are you up for the task? Yes, wonderful. It's not too late to leave if you feel this is too much to ask of you, okay? But otherwise, I'm glad you're here. I truly am. So I'd like to start with a bit of fun. You know, speakers always ask you, please silence your cell phones. Please turn them off. Destroy them, if you will. I'd like you to do just the opposite if you would. Please pull out your cell phone, if you would, please, your smartphone. If you have a laptop, this will work on your laptops as well. But if you'll pull out your Android, pull out your iPhone, and if you would, please visit thirstyhead.com/Cynthia with an S, because this is a text synthesizer that you're going to be visiting. But if you would, please visit thirstyhead.com/Cynthia and take a moment to introduce yourself to your neighbor, not with your voice, but with your phone. It'll get noisy in here, and that's okay. thirstyhead.com/Cynthia. And what's lovely is this is standards-based HTML. This will work in any browser. So this will work on Androids and iPhones. This will work on laptops as well. I'll come back to this slide in just a moment. But I did want to say something to you this morning.
Namaste, Bengaluru.
The pronunciation...
Namaste, Bengaluru.
Not quite right, yes? But the spirit is there. Of course, you can go in and you can change the rate at which Cynthia speaks.
Namaste, Bengaluru.
Oh, better. Yeah? Or no? Too fast?
Namaste, Bengaluru.
Yeah? No? We can change the pitch as well. We can make her voice much lower.
Namaste, Bengaluru.
Or higher as well.
Namaste, Bengaluru.
Not one of you has spoken to me from your phone. Will one of you be brave enough to make noise in here from your phone? Will one of you say hello?
Namaste, Bengaluru.
Thank you so much. That wasn't hard, was it? Do you feel like you're breaking the rules? Do you feel like this was a trap and I was going to scold you as a teacher? No, never. The reason I bring this up is because this is not a screen reader. Let me be clear. This is not a screen reader, not something that blind low vision users would use on a daily basis, but it is all the raw material of a screen reader. And so part of what we want to do in this session is get started thinking in a multi-sensory way of approaching computing. How many of us are programmers in here right now? How many are software developers? Yes. And so your whole life is 101 keys and a mouse, isn't it? How many of your users do you think also use 101 keys and a mouse? Did you know that 2/3 of all web traffic is mobile-based? 2/3 of all web traffic is mobile-based. How many of you do development on your iPhone? No, not even me. That's ridiculous, isn't it? How many of you pull out your smartphone as you're developing and test your work on the device that your customers are going to be using? Yes? I hope you'll think more about that moving forward. So, digital accessibility Those are expensive words. There are a lot of syllables in that. What is digital accessibility, though? In fact, it's what I said earlier. We're talking about multisensory architecture, multiple senses. So my job is, in fact, talking about sight, sound, and touch. Sight, sound, and touch. That's the end of the day. Yeah? Now, there are other senses as well. As you were working with Cynthia on your phone, did any of you use smell to interact with Cynthia? No? No? Did any of you use taste? I don't want to know. I don't want to know, okay? Yes? So perhaps we'll limit our conversation to 3 senses, sight, sound, and touch, as we explore digital accessibility. Because in fact, what's most important is not writing a one-dimensional application, but writing a full 3-dimensional application. As developers now, I challenge you that if you can see it, how does it sound? If you can hear the video, can you read the video as well in terms of closed captions or subtitles? What I challenge you to do is think about delighting all of your senses, not just one. So, we do use all of our senses in computing. It can be hard to believe me. I wouldn't believe me, yeah? So I've got a video here for you. Here's a video using just one sense. No, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah? We just use sight. No sound yet, right? Stick with me. Yes, soon? Yes, yes. This is how you give a sound person nightmares. We tested this before. How could we be having problems? Yes. That should have been a very unsatisfying experience for you, right? Just one sense, your sight. Can I add a second sense? Yeah? Okay. I'll add sound for your case. Yes? He's sweating. He's crying. Yes. No, no more. No more. All right? So here's sound.
Hola, me llamo Scott Davis. Lo siento, no hablo español, solo palabras.
There we go. Okay, so any questions? Can we move on then? No? Yeah, translations, please. Yes, yes. Okay, so that's 2 senses, sight and sound, yeah? A lot of times when we're dealing with these kinds of things, we would perhaps like subtitles if you're not fluent in Spanish. So let's go ahead and turn on some subtitles and let's see if this helps, okay?
Hola, me llamo Scott Davis. Lo siento, no hablo español, solo palabras.
Clearly that helped, right? Can we move on now, please? No, not yet? Oh, you're a very needy audience. You're very needy, yeah. So subtitles and closed captions are 2 very different things, even though we like thinking of them together. Closed captions are captions that you can close or open, just like this. When I started playing videos, there were no captions. They were closed. I opened them, so in text, you could hear exactly what I was saying. Still wasn't sufficient, though, was it? So in fact, we have subtitles as well. Rather than just repeating the sound in text, we can turn around and begin translating as well. I apologize, I didn't translate into Tamil. So we'll satisfy ourselves with English. Let's try this one more time.
Hola, me llamo Scott Davis. Lo siento, no hablo español, solo palabras.
It was a bit of a trick on you, wasn't it? In Spanish, I said, I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish, but what, yeah, uh-huh. So we do see that when it comes to videos, having all 3 synced up.
Hola, me llamo Scott Davis. Lo siento, no hablo español, solo palabras.
This is helpful, getting all 3 of our senses working together, something like this. Now, if we did something like this instead.
Only words.
Let's try it again.
Hi, my name is Scott Davis. I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish. Only words.
If you're able to receive the message across all the channels, you often don't think about it. If it's in a language you already understand, you're not going to be looking for closed captions. If it's got sound that you can already hear, you're not going to be looking for closed captions. But what if you're in a noisy pub and it's a cricket match? Yes? You may not have a problem with your hearing in general, but what you might have is a temporary disability or a temporal disability. So if in fact we're in a noisy pub watching a cricket match, even though our hearing is very good in that context, we can't hear. We might still want subtitles or closed captions. Yeah? So my job is Director of Digital Accessibility for a community college in Colorado, Front Range Community College. We serve over 30,000 students across 3 campuses. Again, my job title is Director of Digital Accessibility, not Director of Digital Disability. And that's an important distinction to make. So often we think, oh, of course we need closed captions for all of our deaf and hard of hearing youth. Do you know how many college students watch videos with the closed captions on? Between 80 and 90%. Between 80 and 90% of college students, university students today, have grown up with this technology to the point where they just expect to have closed captions available. If they don't, they feel that the technology is broken. Now, my son grew up using watching Japanese anime. Studio Ghibli, yes, Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle. Oh, I love them. So he grew up watching movies with subtitles. Now, he did have an option, right? You can also watch movies that are dubbed. This is the great debate in his generation, dubs or subs. Yes? My son prefers subtitles. He prefers hearing the movie in its original language, which the original soundtrack in its original artistic form with subtitles so that he can follow along. It's a silly example that I showed you here. But what you just experienced was exclusion several times over. This is Kat Holmes. She wrote a wonderful book, Mismatch, How Inclusion Shapes Design. She was the head of accessibility for Microsoft. She says, ask 100 people what inclusion means and you'll get 100 different answers. But you ask them what it means to be excluded and the answer will be uniformly clear. It's when you're left out. That's what digital accessibility is. That's what my job is to make sure no one feels left out. I work for Front Range Community College. This is our catchphrase. You belong here. This is our tagline. I say it's my job to make sure this isn't just aspirational, but that we mean it, that we demonstrate it through the quality of our code, through the quality of our accessibility. Yeah? And it's not just me. This is Tim Berners-Lee, Sir Tim Berners-Lee, yes? He hasn't done much with his time. Yeah, he only invented the internet, invented HTML, invented HTTP, wrote the first web browser, wrote the first web server. He still has time. He might do something of importance soon. Yeah? But he says the power of the web is in its universality. Accessed by everyone, regardless of disability, is an essential aspect. This is the creator of the web. When we focus on digital accessibility, this is not something extra that you have to do. This is not an afterthought. Digital accessibility is using the web how it was designed and how it was intended to be used. This is what I have to continue to impart. When I talk to the developers and the users at my university, they say, oh, this is extra. This is something we'll put off to the end. This is something that we'll have to download. Maybe we don't have the licensing for this. Nonsense. This is what we need to be doing first, not last. This is using the technology as it was designed and as it was intended to be used. Yeah? Very nice. And really what we're talking about here is a concept called universal design. And I love this. It's a design that's usable by all people to the greatest extent possible without the need for adaptation or any kind of specialized design. Nothing that needs to be added. Not add-ons, not plugins, not downloads. Simply using the technology as it was designed and as it was intended to be used. Now, the fine print is very small, so let me read that to you as well. People often think that universal design is just for individuals with disabilities. That's a misconception. But that's what happens when people affected by disability finally get included. My students, when they come to class, expect to be able to walk into the building. There was an act in the United States, the Americans with Disabilities Act. It was passed in 1990, 35 years ago now at this point. And it says that every building you walk in, you should expect to be able to get around. You can't walk into a building in the United States without passing accessible parking stalls on the way in. You can't walk into the front door, especially if there's stairs in the front door, without having a ramp lead up to it as well. Once you get into the building, you should fully expect to have accessible water fountains and bathroom stalls and everything else. That's universal design. So when it comes to sight, sound, and touch, let's dig into this a little bit deeper. I have 3 videos I'd like to show you here. The first is focusing on sight and the technology that you just pulled out of your pocket earlier. This is a short video. I'll see you on the other side.
For many people with blindness or low vision, there hasn't always been an easy way to capture daily life.
One face cropped. Move your phone down. One face in frame. Hold for photo.
Dinner for one.
Hello.
One face and one head in frame.
Look who's here.
2 faces in frame. 2 faces.
Good morning.
2 faces.
First day in the new place.
2 faces. 2 faces. 2 faces in frame. 3 faces in frame. Hold for photo.
Capture life, no matter how you experience it. Guided frame, only on Google Pixel.
Isn't that just lovely? Do you know where you can buy the blind edition of an Android phone? They're hard to find. That's a joke. There is no such thing as a blind edition of an Android phone. That's the Android phone you own right now. Similar features, of course, are available in iPhones as well. I'll be showing videos around both Android and iPhone there. Did you catch who was narrating that video? Certainly the actor was blind. The director of this video was blind as well. Let me play you the beginning of the video one more time. Let's see if you can tell me who the narrator is in this video.
For many people with blindness or low vision, there hasn't always been an easy way to capture daily life.
Anyone? Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder, the blind musician, narrated that. So there are so many things to like about this video because it shows us that we think that blindness is absolute. Either you can see or you can't. There's no in between at all, is there? Yeah? We have accommodations that we use in our everyday lives. I only need this for distance. I can see my computer, but I put this on. Oh, hi, Mark. Hi, didn't see you back there. Nice to see you. Yeah? Wait, where did Mark go? Did you see where he went? Yeah? Oh, there you go. Okay. Yes, absolutely. And so we see that blindness, low vision is a spectrum. It can affect us in a variety of different ways. So when we ask, can blind people take photos? Absolutely they can. We just witnessed it. So that's focusing on sight and the technology we have, and that's AI-driven, isn't it? That AI has been trained to recognize faces in the frame. You heard smiling face. Yeah, this is AI in action. Let's talk about hearing. This is a former colleague of mine, Matthew Johnston. He's the head of digital accessibility for a software consultancy called ThoughtWorks. I'll see you on the other side of this video.
I hesitated for a few seconds, and I realized the enormity of it, what it really meant. I'm 55 years old, and for the first time, I was able to call my son.
This is Matthew. He likes to swim in cold water.
After a swim, you feel alive.
Like really, really cold water.
I also swam across the English Channel.
But that's another story. Matthew is deaf.
People think if I got a hearing aid on, I could hear everything. And that's not true. I lip read most of the time. I have two boys, and they're both very important part of my life.
This is Matthew's youngest son.
Hi, I'm Harry.
Who lives in Hong Kong and plays rugby.
I always want to keep in touch with him. Before, I need to communicate with him through Zoom or WhatsApp. I would try and lip read him, but it's really hard because it's not 3D, it's a flat screen. When I got the Google Picture phone, because the live capture feature, Harry was the first person I phoned. It was incredible. And we were talking for about half an hour. All of a sudden, he said,
Dad, do you realise this is the first time we've talked on the phone?
I was speechless for 3-4 seconds, and it realised what it really meant. I'm 55 years old, and for the first time in my life, I was able to call my son. It was wonderful. What you gonna do? Mobile phone been around for a long time, and yet hadn't been really fully accessible till now. That's what inclusive means. You don't feel left out. Everybody feels the same.
Isn't that just lovely? Yeah. That's the one that makes me tear up a little bit. I'm 55. I have a son. Yeah? Now, Matthew was a colleague of mine. We both worked at ThoughtWorks. I worked out of Colorado. He worked out of the UK. And then COVID hit. All of a sudden, we were on Zoom calls, yeah? But that was before Zoom had closed captioning. Imagine the global head of digital accessibility cut off from the rest of the company because there wasn't something as simple as live captions in a Zoom call. So not only did this affect Matthew from a very personal perspective, it affected him professionally as well. We just expect this technology to be there. And when it's not, that's when we feel exclusion. Let's look at one more video. This is all about touch now. And this is an Apple video just to show that I'm not going to show you only Google videos for the remainder of this talk. I'll see you on the other side of this video.
People think that having a disability is a barrier. But that's not the way I see it. You can catch up with friends.
Ready?
You can capture a moment with your family.
One face, small face, focus lock.
And you can start the day bright and early. You can take a trip to somewhere new.
3 miles to the summit.
You can concentrate on every word of a story.
A bird began to sing. Jack opened his eyes.
You can take the long way home. Or edit a film like this one. When technology is designed for everyone, it lets anyone do what they love, including me.
We got to see a variety of things there. That was Sadie Paulson. She actually edited that video. Sadie has cerebral palsy, so she doesn't have a voice. Did you notice who narrated this video? Let me start the video again. Listen to the narrator.
People think that having a disability is a barrier. But that's not the way I see it.
Who's narrating that? Siri. Siri is narrating that. Yeah? And again, what's so powerful about these examples is this is technology that already exists on the hardware you already own. You demonstrated that already. This technology is in your pocket. It's in your laptop. And it's our professional responsibility as developers to take advantage of this. It's our professional responsibility. So, what does this mean exactly? There are standards out there. You've heard of HTML. That's a standard published by the W3C, the World Wide Web Consortium. CSS is a spec published by the W3C. HTTP is a spec. XML is a spec. And they also offer this WCAG, a bit of an unfortunate acronym. I apologize up front for that, WCAG. Yes, but WCAG, the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Do you remember that quote from Tim Berners-Lee? The power of the web is in its universality. This is what we're talking about. WCAG was published originally in 1997. It's been around for a good long time, almost as long as HTML itself. This is the standard by which we should be measuring ourselves. This is the standard by which you should be measuring the quality of your code. WCAG is the foundation of UN standards, United Nations standards. Have you heard of the European Accessibility Act, the EAA? The EAA is predicated in WCAG. The Americans with Disabilities Act is predicated in WCAG. I'm from the state of Colorado. We have a local accessibility law, HB 211110. Just rolls off the tongue like Shakespearean prose, doesn't it? HB 211110. HB 211110 says every Colorado state website, every county website, every city website, every institute of higher learning like Front Range Community College is required by law to offer their citizens, their constituents, their students, equal access to data under the law. So we have a technical specification as well as a legal specification as well as a moral imperative to do this. Now, WCAG is very technical. We have, oh, you violated 1.4.1 of the WCAG spec. We're not going to talk about it at that level, yeah? Instead, I'm going to use another four-letter acronym to describe a four-letter acronym. It doesn't get any better than this. I apologize. But the acronym here is POUR, P-O-U-R, POUR. WCAG says that our websites need to be perceivable, they need to be operable, they need to be understandable, and they need to be robust. In the time we have here together, we're going to dig into each one of these into greater detail, but it needs to be perceivable. We need to delight all the senses, not just one. It needs to be operable across all modalities. It's not just 101 keys and a mouse. We need to support touch. We need to support voice. We need to support eye tracking. We need to support any number of novel ways of interacting to make sure that your website is operable. It needs to be understandable across languages. Lo siento, no hablo español. Yeah? And it needs to be robust as well. Yes, it means it needs to work across devices. If you're sitting with 101 keys and a mouse, and 2/3 of your users are holding a slab of glass in their hand, your website needs to look just as good on your developer laptop as it does on a smartphone, as it does on a smart TV in a conference room. Your website needs to flow like water through all of the glass in your user's life. It needs to be robust. So, let's talk about these a little bit more. Perceivable. We saw that in the video, right? The video started with no sound, so it was invisible to your ears. I turned on the sound and you said not good enough, so I turned on subtitles and closed captions so you could see it as well. This is what we mean about perceivable. It needs to delight all the senses, not just one. Yeah? So this principle of WCAG is one we experienced early on. So one way is providing alt text for images, alternate text for images. The image tag, IMG, was introduced in HTML2 back in 1992. It absolutely included alt text. There has never been a time when you could include an image on a web page and not make it accessible. 100% of the time, images have had alt text to help us. There's a wonderful report called the Web AIM Million. The Web AIM Million. AIM is short for Accessibility in Mind. This comes out of the Utah State University back in the United States. They run a report every year and they survey the top 1 million websites for accessibility. Here's their 2025 numbers. 80% of all websites have color contrast issues. 80%. We're going to talk more about color contrast in just a moment. Over half of all images on the web lack alt text. How can this be 30 years later and over half of the images lack accessibility on the web? This is professionally irresponsible. There's no other way to describe it. So color blindness is interesting. Just like we notice that blind doesn't mean I can't see everything, there's a spectrum. Color blindness doesn't mean you can't see color. More accurately, this is called color vision deficiency, but we call it color blindness, so we'll stick with that idea. If you've ever done any web programming, if you've ever done any CSS, you know that we specify colors in RGB format, right? Red, green, blue. Do you know why that is? Our eyes have receptors for red, for green, and for blue. So when you're specifying those colors in that format, you are dictating how the human eye works. So when we see color vision deficiency over on the right, deuteranopia, fun word to say, it means your eye or the person there doesn't have the red receptors. And so if you'll notice, there's a red color pencil up here at about 1 o'clock on the clock, and there's a green colored pencil over here at about 10 o'clock on the clock. If you don't have red receptors in your eyes, do you see those same pencils over here? It's not that you can't see color, it's the contrast that's the problem. So I'm not saying, and therefore you can never use color ever again. Only black and white websites moving forward. No, that's not what we're saying at all. What we're saying is you can't only use color as a communication channel. Imagine this was a form. Perhaps I have an online website. Perhaps I'm asking you to buy something. And I say, oh, there was a problem with your credit card number. The incorrect fields are in red. The correct fields are in green. That doesn't help, does it? So it's not that we can't use red. It's not that we can't use green. It's that we can't only use color to convey. We can't be one-dimensional. We need to be multidimensional about this. So if I said to you, all of the correct fields are in green with a check mark next to them, all of the incorrect fields are in red with an X next to them, all of a sudden we're being multi-sensory. We're communicating across multiple channels. We're conveying the same information in a variety of different ways. Those red colors hop out at you if you have red receptors. If they don't, we've got other ways to talk to you. Wanted to show you, well, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead here. Let's see here. I'll demonstrate this to you. There's a plugin I wanted to show you. But before we get there, Mark Zuckerberg. Any idea why Facebook's brand colors are in blue? Mark Zuckerberg is red-green colorblind. He says that the color he can see best is blue. He says blue is the richest color for me. I can see all of blue. Yeah? So again, it's not that there isn't joy and richness in colors. It can't be the only way we convey information. And this is what I was going to show you here. There are a number of plugins. I like this one. Let's get colorblind. Yeah? But this is a browser plugin right here. And so let me come back to this red-green colorblindness. And let me come up here to Let's Get Colorblind. And let's get colorblind. Yeah? We have a way to kind of prove to ourselves that, yeah, this plugin is doing exactly what it's claiming to do. So something as simple as that, being able to turn around and think about how we use colors. Think about how we communicate with our users. That's all. 80% of all web pages have problems with color contrast. This is worth looking into when you get back to the office. Yeah? So alt text is something else. We saw that over half of the images on the web lack alt text. So alt text is short for alternative text. It was for a variety of different reasons. One is if the image simply can't be displayed, what do you normally see? A little broken computer screen? If you have a little broken computer screen, it's not that the image is broken, it's that your code is broken. If you see that little broken image screen, it means you have not provided alt text. Congratulations, you're in the majority. Yeah? But this alt text is used for a variety of different reasons. Google can't see your images, but it can see your alt text. Google can't watch your videos, but it can index your closed captions. Google can't listen to your podcast, but it can index your transcripts. When we talk about SEO, search engine optimization, alt text plays a critical role in that. One of my clients was a client back in the United States that makes tractors, big green tractors. If you do a web search on big green tractor, that company, John Deere, doesn't come up on the first page of results. John Deere has an SEO problem. John Deere was getting ready to roll out 20 new items to their catalog. And I said, well, we need to talk about alt text for all 20,000 of those images, right? And they said, oh. We don't have many blind farmers driving our tractors. If someone wanted to buy a baseball hat with a green tractor on it, what do you think they would do to find that baseball hat? Perhaps they would go to Google and type in baseball hat, green tractor, and they would want that product to be at the top of the list. I take a very yes and approach to digital accessibility. Yes, we need alt text for all of the blind farmers who are driving your tractors and anyone who uses Google. Anyone who uses Google. Yeah? I told you this is not digital disability. This is digital accessibility. We want your information to be findable. And that's SEO. Yeah? Lovely. So here's an image, and the alt text is a group of young college students laugh and walk along a tree-lined pathway. That's about all you need. Alt text can be challenging for some people because they say, well, I don't know what to describe about that image. I don't know what to say. It really shouldn't be more than a sentence or two. I like saying this image should be how you would explain it to a friend over the phone. Oh, I took this amazing picture. Let me tell you about it. Sentence or two, that's all. Yeah? Lovely website. Alt text is poetry. Highly recommend you check that out because we're trying to have evocative, concise text to describe this. Alt text as poetry. Yeah. But here's some alt text. This is from a New York Times article about AI. So the alt text is a painting of a person. Maybe an image of a person and a strawberry. Any idea what we're looking at here? The Mona Lisa. And these are exact alt text from Microsoft Word, from Facebook, and from Wikipedia. What do you think of that fine alt text? Mona _ Lisa _ by _ Leonardo _ da Vinci from blah blah dot JPEG. This is the best of the bunch, but it doesn't mean it's good, right? This could just as easily be img0001.jpg. And then all of a sudden, it's not much of an alt text at all, is it? So, alt text is crucial. If you can see it, can you hear it? Alt text. Can AI write alt text? This is a lovely article just published less than a month ago where they ran OpenAI, Anthropic, Google Gemini, Llama, and DeepSeek through these tests. They gave it a number of different images. There are about 3 or 4 images it tested it on. This is the iconic apartment building from the TV series Friends. Yeah? You might have recognized it, but now that I mention it, you're like, oh, yeah, of course, right? Yeah. So the question is, what does AI see when it sees this building? And they prompted it in 2 different ways. One, they just said, explain this image. And the other, they said, explain this image from the iconic TV series Friends. This is from the opening credit. They were prompt stuffing, right? And so here's just one example. One thoroughly lacking context a historic brown building with fire escapes and outdoor seating and nothing about the TV series, yeah? And when they told it was from the TV series, oh yeah, this is that image from the TV series, right? But it didn't know it. Didn't know it. It's a fascinating article. I highly recommend you check it out. So what was their conclusion? They said it performed quite well at a glance. Like Venkat said this morning, if I don't know anything, I am amazed by the output of generative AI. If I'm an expert, I'm horrified by the output of generative AI. These mistakes it can make. It didn't matter that maybe ChatGPT described a bird that wasn't there. Did you notice in the Mona Lisa, Facebook said it's a woman and maybe a strawberry? There are no strawberries in that image. But when two of the LLMs potentially misgendered a person, that's alarming. AI is a tool, it's not a solution. It's a way for us to get started, but it is up to you, the human in the loop, to ensure that other humans are going to get the context they need out of those images. So, how about operable? Can we use this? Can the user interface components be navigable? So, operability is important. One of the cheapest ways you can test your website for navigability is to unplug your mouse. Have you ever used the tab key to navigate your website? Some of you are nodding yes. With my developers, I like having a no mouse Monday. Could you make it through the whole day without a mouse? Perhaps you don't need to unplug it. Perhaps you can visit your website and just use the tab key to see if you can navigate through there. Because using a mouse means you can see the arrow moving around on the screen and you can line up on something and click on it. If you don't have vision, you're going to have to choose different ways to operate your websites. Another really quick and easy way for you to test this out, this, by the way, excuse me. This, by the way, is, again, from WebAIM. And if you ever see a text field with a label next to it, if you click on the label and you get moved into the field, that's accessibility at work right there. All you have to do is click with your mouse on a label to ensure that that label is for name, which ties to the ID name. Just as simple as that, because if someone says, oh, you mistyped the credit card number, they need to know where the credit card number field is. If you associate the label with the field, they're able to see without a problem. This, again, has been in the spec from the very beginning. We only see this implemented in about 40% or so of the website. Something as simple as semantically linking a label to an input. We have work to do. We have work to do. So, can you use AI? Venkat demonstrated this morning. Yeah, if you went into Gemini and said, write semantic HTML for a web form that has accessible form later, blah, 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 hopefully you could go in and say, just write me a HTML form, and it would give you the same result. Hopefully. Hopefully. Is our website understandable? Remember, this is where language comes in. Can we understand it? It's so important to accessibility that you understand the information that's going on there. But other than the obvious language implementations from English to Spanish to Hindi to Tamil, yeah? Just using clear language is important as well. There is this standard called the Flesch-Kincaid Reading Index, and it's done by grade level. This is something that's been around since the 1940s, the Flesch-Kincaid Reading Index. And it's how easy is this text to understand. It expresses itself in a grade level. For most of the public, you want to aim for a grade 8. reading level. I think you will be shocked if you run your website through some Flesch-Kincaid reading indexes to see what grade level it is. So in this case, I went into ChatGPT and I said, hey, write one paragraph explaining digital accessibility at a Flesch-Kincaid grade level 18. This is the top of the chart. And it says digital accessibility refers to the design and development of digital projects, websites, and applications in a manner that ensures equitable access for all users regardless of their physical, cognitive, or technical limitations. That was just the first sentence. Yeah? Now write it at an 8th grade reading level. Digital accessibility means making websites, apps, and online tools easy for everyone to use, including people with disabilities. Yeah? Just adjusting the language that we use is a form of accessibility. Not using jargon, not using sentences that have 32 words in them. Yeah? So the last thing we want to discuss in just the few minutes we have left here together is, are our websites robust? Are they robust? Content must be robust enough that it can be interpreted reliably by a wide variety of user agents. User agents are web browsers and platforms. We want your website to flow like water through all the glass in your customers' lives. We want it to be robust. And it's important that it's robust, but the way we get there is by using standard compliant HTML and CSS. At the end of the day, this is what we're talking about. This is not a trick question. This is nothing additional you have to download or license or pay for or add in or install. You simply need to use the technology as it was designed and as it was intended to be used. When I ask people, have you adopted a mobile-first strategy? I said, I don't know. We're still waiting. We don't know. Do you want to know when the first iPhone came out? 2007. Do you know when the first Android came out? 2008. 2/3 of all web traffic goes across mobile devices. It's been 15 years. If you don't have a mobile-first strategy, perhaps it's something you should consider. And here's another reason. That mobile device is a perfect example of digital accessibility. We saw Javier using his smartphone. We saw Matthew Johnston using his smartphone. We used Sadie Paulson using their smartphone. That smartphone is a hallmark of digital accessibility because the way you use it is by using all of your senses. You use sight, sound, and touch to interact with your phone. So if you have a good user experience on a smartphone, it doesn't guarantee that it's accessible, but it's a pretty good indicator. It's a pretty good indicator that if you have a good experience on a smartphone, you probably have a reasonably good accessible experience as well. So, where does this leave us? Digital accessibility, sight, sound, and touch. Perhaps next year we can include taste as well, but not this year. Yeah? Just 3 senses. But more importantly, if your websites are perceivable, if they're operable, if they're understandable and robust, you're taking that yes and approach to accessibility. This isn't digital disability. This is for all of us. This is universal design. This is for all the blind farmers and anyone who uses Google. Yeah? And that is bridging the digital divide. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I do appreciate it.